Marriage is one of the most fundamental human institutions, but it has not always been about love or companionship. From the earliest forms of pair bonding seen in nature to the intricate marriage customs of ancient civilizations, the concept of marriage has evolved significantly. It began as a survival strategy, transformed into a tool for forming alliances, became a religious and legal institution, and in modern times has shifted toward personal choice and love. In this video, we'll explore how marriage originated, how it developed over time, and where it stands today in the modern world. In nature, pair bonding is observed in various species, primarily as a means to ensure the survival of offspring. Some animals, like wolves, swans, and certain primates, form lifelong bonds, working together to raise their young. Early humans, much like these animals, formed pair bonds out of necessity. The primary reason was survival. Partnerships allowed for better protection, shared resources, and ensured the continuity of the group. Prehistoric humans lived in small tribal communities where cooperation was essential. In these early societies, unions between men and women were informal but served an essential purpose, providing security, food, and protection for children. Over time, these bonds became more structured, and certain rules and customs emerged to regulate relationships. The first known marriages were not based on romance, but rather on agreements between tribes or families. These unions helped to form alliances, ensuring that different groups worked together rather than against each other. The exchange of partners among tribes strengthened social ties and created larger, more cooperative communities. As humans transitioned from hunter-gatherer societies to settled agricultural communities, marriage became more formalized. In early civilizations like Mesopotamia, Egypt, Greece, and Rome, marriage served political and economic purposes. In Mesopotamia, one of the earliest known legal codes, the Code of Hammurabi, included laws about marriage, property rights, and inheritance. Marriages were contracts arranged by families, often with a dowry or bride price involved. Women had limited rights, and marriages were largely about securing wealth and producing heirs. In ancient Egypt, marriage was also a recognized institution, but it was not as strictly regulated. Egyptian women had relatively more rights compared to women in other ancient cultures, and they could own property and even initiate divorce. Marriage was seen as a social agreement rather than a religious requirement. In ancient Greece, marriage was designed to create legitimate heirs. It was common for men to marry much younger women, and romantic love was rarely the reason for marriage. Greek women had little say in whom they married, and their primary role was to bear children and manage the household. Love and affection were often found outside of marriage, in friendships or extramarital relationships. In ancient Rome, marriage evolved into a legal contract, with clear rules on property, inheritance, and citizenship. Roman marriages were monogamous, though men often had concubines or extramarital affairs. Women gained some rights in marriage, especially in later Roman periods, where they could own property and had some legal independence. However, marriages were still largely arranged for social and economic reasons rather than personal choice. As civilizations grew, religion began to influence marriage customs. In many cultures, marriage became more than just a social or economic contract. It became a sacred institution. In Hinduism, marriage was considered a sacred duty and an essential part of fulfilling one's religious and social responsibilities. Elaborate wedding ceremonies were performed to mark the spiritual union of a couple. In Jewish tradition, marriage was highly valued and was accompanied by religious rituals and blessings. It was considered a divine commandment, ensuring the continuity of the Jewish people. In Christianity, marriage was initially a civil matter, but over time it became a religious sacrament. By the medieval period, the Catholic Church had established strict rules around marriage, requiring couples to marry in the presence of a priest and emphasizing monogamy. The Church also introduced laws against divorce, making marriage a lifelong commitment in the eyes of God. In Islam, marriage was considered a legal contract rather than a sacrament, but it was still regarded as a religiously significant union. The Quran laid out specific rights and responsibilities for husbands and wives, and while polygamy was allowed under certain conditions, monogamous marriages were more common. Religious influence over marriage solidified the idea that it was not just a social necessity but a divine duty. Religious laws dictated who could marry, how marriages were performed, and the roles of husbands and wives. For most of history, marriages were arranged by families to secure alliances, strengthen social bonds, and ensure economic stability. The idea of marrying for love was uncommon and often discouraged. However, during the medieval period in Europe, the concept of courtly love emerged. This romantic ideal, popularized by poets and writers, celebrated love and devotion between men and women. While courtly love was often experienced outside of marriage, it planted the seeds for the idea that love and marriage could be connected. By the 18th and 19th centuries, the notion of romantic love began to take hold, particularly in Europe and North America. Literature, poetry, and art celebrated love as an essential part of marriage. People began to challenge the idea that marriages should be arranged by families, advocating for the right to choose their own partners based on affection and compatibility. This shift was accompanied by legal changes, particularly regarding women's rights. Laws were introduced that allowed women to own property, seek divorce, and make decisions about their own marriages. The idea of mutual consent became more important, ensuring that both partners had a say in their union. The Industrial Revolution brought significant changes to marriage. As people moved from rural areas to cities for work, traditional family structures changed. Young men and women had more opportunities to meet and choose their own spouses, rather than relying on family arrangements. By the mid-20th century, this nuclear family became the dominant model of marriage in the Western world. The ideal of a husband working while the wife stayed home to care for the children was widely promoted. However, this model was not universal. Many cultures continued to practice extended family living and arranged marriages. The women's rights movement of the 20th century further transformed marriage. Women gained more independence through education and careers, challenging traditional gender roles. Marriage became more of a partnership, with both spouses sharing responsibilities. Additionally, legal changes made divorce more accessible, allowing individuals to leave unhappy marriages without severe social consequences. The idea that marriage should be based on happiness and fulfillment became widely accepted. Marriage in the 21st century, a changing institution. In the 21st century, marriage is more diverse and flexible than ever before. Unlike the past, where marriage was considered an essential milestone in life, today's generation has greater freedom in choosing whether or not to marry. Social, economic, and technological changes have significantly influenced modern relationships, shaping new trends that redefine traditional marriage norms. Marriage rates have declined globally as more people prioritize education, careers, and financial independence before considering marriage. Economic challenges, such as rising living costs and job uncertainty, also contribute to this trend. Many now view marriage as a personal choice, rather than a necessity for social acceptance. While fewer people are getting married, long-term relationships remain important, with individuals seeking partnerships based on compatibility rather than societal expectations. A significant development in modern marriage is the recognition of same-sex unions. In the past, marriage was strictly a heterosexual institution, but today many countries have legalized same-sex marriage, granting LGBTQ+ couples equal rights. This shift represents a broader societal acceptance of diverse relationships. While some regions still oppose marriage equality due to cultural or religious beliefs, the global trend continues toward greater inclusion. Many couples now choose to live together without formal marriage, valuing commitment over legal status. Cohabitation allows partners to test compatibility before making a lifelong commitment. Some countries even grant legal rights to long-term cohabiting couples, similar to marriage. Additionally, alternative relationship models, such as polyamory and common law partnerships, challenge traditional monogamy, reflecting the growing diversity in how people define commitment. With increased globalization, marriages between people of different religions and cultures have become more common. While these unions require navigating differences in beliefs and traditions, they also promote inclusivity and understanding. Many interfaith couples integrate multiple cultural practices, creating a blended approach to marriage that respects both backgrounds. These relationships challenge traditional ideas and encourage acceptance in an increasingly interconnected world. Technology has reshaped how people find and maintain relationships. Online dating has expanded options beyond local communities, allowing individuals to connect with partners based on shared values and interests. Social media also plays a role in modern relationships, offering new ways to communicate while introducing challenges like privacy concerns and digital infidelity. Advancements in artificial intelligence and virtual reality may further redefine human relationships in the future. As marriage continues to evolve, some question whether it will remain a dominant institution. With changing gender roles, increased acceptance of singlehood, and diverse relationship models, the traditional concept of marriage is being redefined. However, despite these shifts, marriage still holds emotional and cultural significance for many. Whether through legal marriage, cohabitation, or alternative partnerships, the desire for love, connection, and companionship remains universal. The journey of marriage, from its origins in early human societies to its modern evolution, reflects the changes in human civilization. What started as a necessity for survival became a structured institution shaped by religion, culture, and law. Over time, the emphasis shifted from economic and social contracts to love, partnership, and personal fulfillment. Today, marriage continues to evolve, adapting to new cultural, legal, and social realities. The history of marriage is a testament to human adaptability, proving that while traditions change, the need for connection and partnership remains constant. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like this video to show your support.